Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. In my video today, I show the importance of BDNF and neurons, give a little bit of history of school, and answer the questions I asked at the beginning.
Another factor which is very important for learning and supports the neuromechanism are neurotransmitter BDNF, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is the neuron growth factor. Neurons are basic building blocks of the brain and is the basic working unit of the brain, a specialized cell designed to transmit information to other nerve cells, muscle, or gland cells. The brain of most mammals contains between 100 million and 100 billion neurons. BDNF is like drops. It is a liquid which keeps the neuronal connection humid that the nerve cells can grow. It is vital to learning, memory and higher thinking and is active in the brain areas hippocampus, cortex and basal forebrain. Exercise helps to increase the growth factor BDNF, which is a protein necessary for survival and thus also acts as a fertilizer in the brain. When BDNF is released, it flips the switch on a series of genes that grow brand new brain cells and pathways. BDNF also strengthens the neurons you already have, along with keeping you mentally alert and improving memory. You find BDNF also in other parts of the body like the retina, kidney, saliva, prostate, motor neurons, and skeletal muscle. Basics for the neuron growth or neurotransmitter are active learning, same as neuromechanism stimulation, attentively, same as neuromechanism curiosity, effortlessly no stress, same as neuromechanism try without fear, the role of movement in stimulating mind and body, same as neuromechanism motion. This brings it all to completion, which is memory. Compare the network in the brain to a cell phone network, where the neurons, nerve cells in the brain, represent the callers who send and receive messages. Memory is created when neurons communicate with each other, transmit messages, and archive them for future use. So, within this model, not only would the neurons themselves have to function well, but also the actual network. For this, we need the neurotransmitters, messengers in the brain that transport information from one place to another. Stress is counterproductive. It blocks the production of BDNF. With these factors, explained part of the question why and what is different about brain-friendly learning is answered. You address your naturally way of learning. And the wonderful thing is that every human being has the same neuromechanism, so it makes it a lot easier to address them. We come to the last question. Don't we learn brain-friendly in school? Unfortunately, we do not. Here's some history in regard to school. The school system, as we know it, was created in the late 1800s, during the Industrial Revolution. Alvin Toffler, author of Future Shock, says that it was no accident that the public education system was founded then, because business leaders began complaining about all these rural kids who were pouring into the cities and going to work in our factories. Business leaders said that these kids were no good and that what they needed was an educational system that would produce industrial discipline. So small robots were needed for the factories, and they had only two things to learn. Firstly, to be punctual, and secondly, to obey orders. In the last 150 years, nothing much has changed in this ideology for our public school system. It hasn't adapted to the changes our society has gone through. It still produces a workforce for an economy that is no more there. There is a reason why no changes are made. But this is another discussion. Learn how to learn is exactly what we do not do in school. In school, you cram, consummate, and are inactive, passive. The brain has not developed to be used for memorizing or rote learning, for example, facts and numbers of years. We learn a lot of things that make no sense to us, and in the way it is presented is often very boring. It means that we do not learn because of the way our brain is built up. What we learn at school about learning contradicts in many ways the purpose of the brain. There we try to learn despite the way our brain is structured. School expects absolute knowledge. School rarely is the place for experiments or discoveries. Learning in a brain-friendly way means to learn according to the functioning of the brain and not against it. Memory is never absolute, but always associative. Dr. Ellen Langer from Harvard University, author of Mindfulness, already said that school education is as if you would have to swallow a closed box and you do not know what is in it. If you cannot picture this with a box, take a pill you must swallow. As we just learned before, for learning to take place, it must be meaningful to each individual, because without emotion, learning is not possible. As it should be. For me, successful learning means that one approaches something with joy and enthusiasm, develops and unfolds one's intellectual potential, and still can access the knowledge acquired in this way later. So, it is not only the result that counts, grades, exams, etc., but also the learning process, the feeling of well-being during learning, and the sustainability of the result. If you learn brain-friendly with the right tools like an ABC list, CAWA, tools which I will introduce in later videos, you are able to critically reflect on information presented, to assess and be able to process, and you are able to experience the information and the way to facilitate this to draw on past experience. Same goes for teaching. Make sure you use teaching tools that meet the factors novelty, significance, and emotion. Then any person naturally wants to pay attention. Even more, when learning is made interesting and challenging, use the natural curiosity and surprise your students. Make it meaningful and relevant. We need to enable ourselves and especially our children to understand what they are learning. Therefore, the 5 factors like novelty, significance, emotion, attention, and motion are important and improve our learning. I teach methods and tools after Vera F. Birkenbihl, which are designed to support this holistic approach to brain-friendly learning, make learning naturally. It links neuroscience and our naturally creative nature and help to remember what was learned.
I hope I have triggered your curiosity, because in my next videos I'm going to introduce you to the brain-friendly learning tools after Vera F. Birkenbihl. I also tell you a little bit more about how our brain works. So stay tuned in.